Okay, so I was alerted that the VOD died, or the stream died, and on fucking cue, I killed the boss. Like that was the attempt. It turns out is the attempt where the stream died is naturally the attempt where I got it. This is happening way too reliably. I think chat is cursed to not actually see me kill these bosses. I don't know. Clearly, chat powers up the bosses somehow. I think I might need to be running this in a separate window on mute so that I can monitor the stream happening from Twitch instead of from OBS. Okay, yeah. Twitch. And then let me cut over to my channel. Okay, yeah, channel's online. Let me put myself on mute. So now I should be able to tell when the stream cuts because I'm watching the stream on another monitor. Woof. Okay. So now that that's done, can light this bonfire. This gives us the opportunity to talk to. There's a guy who's gonna show up. Where is he? Dark Lurker Calf, Dark Speaker Calf. I forgot. I thought he shows up around here. Anyway, there's like a Serpentine homeboy supposed to show up and give us the opportunity to be a Dark Wraith. But I think you might need to do things in a different order for him to show up here. Anyway. I'm going to head over to the Dark Moon Tomb. And this is where we can make attempts on Gwendolyn. Yeah, okay. I don't think it's worth it necessarily for us to get more Estus here. I don't remember what type of enemy she is in terms of, or they are in terms of what damage they take. Yeah, Gwendolyn's actually a trans character. I do know that we're taking either a bunch of arrows to the face, which are going to require steel protection, or we're going to be murdered by spells. And I believe that across the board, we're going to want to wear Painting Guardian gear, by and large, to deal with this fight. We do get 38 spell defense out of the gold-hemmed black cloak, which will be better than the Painting Guardian robe, but the Painting Guardian gloves will give us an incredible edge in terms of magic defense. That's about equivalent, so we're just going to use the same thing here, because the Painting Guardian pants are somehow heavier. Our gear is going to look like a mishmash, but whatever. Okay. So this fight is nightmarish from my experience, because I can't tell what the boss is doing until I'm basically dead. Except for that attack. Thank you for being a good sport and using the only attack I can, like, read and dodge. Okay, given this, I think we only need to run the boss down like 3 times to win the entire fight. Ow. Okay. Great. Yeah. Barely alive. Okay, so the arrow telegraph is that they actually raise up a little higher on the weird tentacles they walk on. And I don't remember why at all this boss has tentacles. It doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, this bonfire we can't light or fix, and there's no way to ever fix it again, and this is always the bonfire we're going to spawn at if we get killed by this boss. Which will require us to do this big old run. But that attempt was actually okay. Gwendolyn is a very annoying boss. It's going to spend the entire time shooting stuff at us and then teleporting away. And the fact that this boss is annoying to fight, coupled with a really long run, is why we haven't done this fight yet. But this weapon appears to be pretty effective. It looks like we only need to get to the boss and take care of this stuff a couple of times. And this is the second to last boss. We've only got 2 bosses left in the entire run. And it's only like 8 o'clock tonight, so I'm going to try and finish the game tonight. Let's see. There might be some items that could possibly give us an edge here, but I don't think there's much. The amount of upgrades we have on the painted set is enough. Like, the spell defense we've got going is barely enough for us to survive, like... What's it? Barely enough for us to survive, like, a partial hit from the homing soul mass attack. And that's basically the best it's going to get. We're never going to survive arrows. And that's actually what might discourage me from doing this fight the most, is the telegraph for arrows is pretty indistinct. And that attack is actually hugely important. So we actually have to dodge forward through the homing soul mass attack, even though it looks like maybe we could dodge left to right. If we dodge left to right, the attack is homing enough that it will pretty much correct over and kill us. Or it'll correct over and we'll take half the attack. One of the deadlier circumstances, of course, is that Gwendolyn can use a homing soul mass and then just use a soul spear in succession. And that will basically synchronize up the attacks and we'll kind of get wrecked. Our optimal for this is just that they continue to use Soul Spear the entire time, because it's the only attack that we can have a reasonable defense against. Like, we are not able to equip the gear that gives us the physical defense rating to deal with arrows. It's just a fact. And I don't know how focused the arrow volley is. I don't know if the arrow volley can autocorrect. Like, if we dodged left on the arrow volley startup, I don't know what'll happen. The volley, if it tags us a little bit, will completely kill us. And I cannot see the arrows in flight for the life of me. I have no understanding of how fast they're going or whatever at this point. So I'm going to have to deal with that attack several more times before I have a keen understanding of it. And this is basically why I gave up on certain boss fight attempts in like Dark Souls 3 and the DLC SL1. I could not survive the fight long enough to learn the fight. And if an attack instantly kills me, I can't learn enough about the attack to keep like trying the fight, generally speaking. Speed of Soul Masses. I don't believe I dodged all that. Yeah, so the delay from that naturally comboed in to the next hit. I am hoping that the arrow volley is fully committal when it starts up, and I just have to kind of read the startup timing. I think the arrows are just moving fast enough that once they're in flight, I'm not going to avoid them. Why on earth does it lock you to this bonfire? Holy crap. This would be no problem if I hadn't killed that Firekeeper, but I killed the Firekeeper, and now I have to do all this extra crap. I didn't need to kill that Firekeeper. I went out of my way to do it. I kind of wanted to show that the interaction was happening. And now I have to pay the price. And the price is a heck of a lot of wasted time. This is the closest bonfire as well. But running from bonfire to bonfire is naturally a time-consuming process. It's just the way it's going to happen. This is the second to last boss that we have to fight for the entire all bosses run. So, in terms of the video records of our boss kills, we lost the boss kill on Gravelord Nito. I think I might have lost the boss kill on Sif. This boss is so miserable. And I lost the boss kill on the Four Kings. That's the arrow attack. It's a miracle that that other set of arrows didn't kill me. And they warp away again before I can get a hit in. Ow. Even as I'm figuring out this fight, I'm just hating it more. That's arrows. I'm gonna warp. Okay, I got one attack in. Wee. The arrows. I triggered a jump instead of a dodge because I was running, and that got me killed because I got tagged during the jump, and if I was in a roll I would have been invulnerable. And now I have to do this run back again. I'm doing better. I'm doing better. I got through 3 phases and I got a hit in. If I do this perfectly, I think the boss is dead in 3 to 4 cycles. I just need to make sure that when they decide to trigger the teleport, I am running in for at least 1 hit. In a really good setup, I can probably get in 2 hits, but I might have to take a risk to make that happen. Like I might have to dodge through an attack in a dangerous way. I'm pretty sure that for arrows, rolling forward will get me killed. One of the things that's super obnoxious about this fight, arrows definitely don't go through the pillars, so I can use the pillars to block arrows. But the spells all go through the terrain for some reason. It's on the level of that particular like dev. The guy responsible for those spell collisions with terrain, I would like to chastise. Say, like, there's no way you did this on purpose, bud. And if you did do it on purpose, why did you think that was the right way to do it? So I have to kind of feather my, what's it called, my run as I'm doing this. Is I need to stop running before I would arrows. I need to stop running before I would dodge. Okay, so there is some tracking on that. This should be pretty ideal. Get a hit. I got one. I got a hit. Oh boy. That's a soul mass or a soul arrow. That's arrows. Seems like if they're in the mood to do arrows, they will do it at least 3 times. There's a hit. If I'm getting 1 hit per cycle, then I think it's 5 cycles. That should be a hit. Maybe 2. 2 hits. Nice. This should be hit distance. They teleported early, like super early. This hall does have a finite length. Oh, that's arrows. I need to not space out. Arrows again. That should be a hit. 2 hits. Got it! I don't have to do this anymore. Yes!
Swathed in dark, an eternal curse upon thee.
Yeah, I don't know why Gwendolyn has that serpentine aspect. There. The hall shortens. We have acquired the soul of Gwendolyn. I don't remember if there's actually anything important at the end of this hall. So I'm going to come in and check. You know what, though? I recognize this place as the site of the wedding ceremony from Dark Souls 3. There are a few simple plants up there. This is where we get the Sunlight Blade miracle, which is a miracle that augments damage. The brass set that is worn by the adherent of Dark Sun Gwendolyn. And this is also a real treasure chest with nothing inside. But why? The singular chair here is interesting, and I wonder if there's an implication for that. A lot of Dark Souls has implications. There's always some kind of thing going on, some kind of lore tidbit that needs to be dissected. If anybody watching the stream has not tuned in to Vati Vidya's YouTube, and that's Vati with 2 A's and an I, if that's enough of a reason to, if that's enough of an explanation of the name. Very fascinating, absolutely pleasant to listen to. Alright, we've only got 1 boss left to fight in all of Dark Souls 1. We're going to return to the set we've been using. Actually, using the Pagan Guardian hood over the Mask of the Child there made running the boss down notably trickier. Okay, we've still got our nice fast roll. This is a good weapon set. So we're going to head on back down here to the Lord Vessel, where we will place the Lord Souls we have gathered. Offer souls to the Lord Vessel. And with the offering of these Lord souls, the door to the kiln of the first flame will be opened. The visual design of the kiln of the first flame, I think, is awesome. It's like a blast site. I mean, when you look in at the kiln of the first flame, I can only imagine that there's like an homage here to the haunting qualities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The entire place is just coated in this ash. The very stone is melted and warped, and you see that everything is kind of like blasted off to the side as a result of this like nasty detonation. The only enemies that appear here, the Lord Vessel is our closest bonfire to this, so this is the run we'll be taking, and all of the enemies here are Black Knights. Unlike the other Black Knights in the game, these guys will respawn. So we may have to fight Black Knights a few times going through here. We'll get Titanite chunks for it, but it doesn't matter much to us. There's not really a faster way of doing this run either. You can try and run past these guys, but you are certainly dealing with Black Knights on your way to face Gwyn. It's just the way it's going to be. There are a few other things around here. I don't think it's super worthwhile to explore all the offshoots, because we can't upgrade our weaponry or items any further anyway. We're going to wind up grabbing this because we took a wrong turn, so whatever. Grabbed. It's a full set of Black Knight armor. And just wait for that guy to pick a direction so that I can pick the other one and keep going. So that's the guy with the greatsword. I'm pretty sure the guy with the halberd is up over this way. Or down over this way. This is the way we need to go. And that over there is our boss door. Yeah, so, okay, no, we've got the guy with the great axe. And now the guy with the halberd. So there is no guaranteed drop for the Black Knight weapons. You have to farm and kill these guys if you really want them. And here we face Gwyn, Lord of Cinder. We'll be back-rolling a lot of his attacks. A side roll on his stab does give us a vulnerability window to hit him. And we mostly want to play this fight safe. And just enjoy the music. This fight is a reward for the journey. And it's the pinnacle of the journey. It's the end. This is something to be appreciated. And it's something haunting. Nope, got killed. So you may have noticed, in a very short fight that didn't necessarily go super well, we dealt 3 pips of the 13, 14 pips that a boss has. So that's actually a reasonable attempt. It looks like we get 20 flasks back from the Lord Vessel, because I guess offering up the boss souls towards it counts as kindling. There we go. Yeah, our key openings on Gwyn are the forward stab, the grab attempt. If we dodge into Gwyn, I think we can make use of a few more openings, but we're generally not going to do that. A lot of his attacks come up short if we back roll, so that gives us the safest options in a lot of cases. We do have to manage the battlefield a little bit in order to do that. Oh, okay, we actually have to get past this guy on the bridge. I think that results in a lot of deaths. So there's a couple ways for us to get past him. We can lure him out to us and go the opposite way. Yeah, I think this is going to be the best way to evade him, generally speaking, because the other ones following behind are not following closely enough to make this a problematic approach. Most of these guys, for their initial attack, will favor a downward chop or a leap. I think only the one with the halberd is reasonably likely to use a sweeping attack on us, initially. I think I have time for this, barely. Yep. I do want to go into the fight clean. There are not many chances during the fight for us to use Estus. From what I recall. I think if we dodge an attack sequence backwards, we might be able to get Estus in time. The boss attacks quickly. Gwyn is pretty fierce, and that's kind of the identity of the fight. I could try to see about parrying him. So we're actually going to take a moment. And let's see what the best shield I can use is. Swords and shields. Can I equip the parrying dagger? Nope, requires 14 dexterity. We don't have that. Here's the thing worth remembering. Yeah, empty offhand gives us parry in Dark Souls 1. I couldn't remember if that was the case. So yeah, we can actually parry empty-handed. So walking down this path, we can actually see Gwyn's knights marching on the Kiln of the First Flame. The Black Knights are knights who were burnt when the flame was kindled, and the Silver Knights are the knights who stayed behind. Of course, the Silver Knights of Anor Londo, I think most of them are not real. A lot of them are illusions conjured by Gwyndolin. And after we have dispelled Guinevere, the core of the illusion, a lot of the Silver Knights hanging out in Anor Londo disappear. Yeah, a lot of them have got like charging thrusts or things like that that are, they're not going to track us super actively, so running past them is actually not a problem. There's just a couple attacks that are a little harder to avoid. Now, of course, in Dark Souls 3, when you fight the final boss of the original game, not counting the DLC, the Soul of Cinder, when you face off against him and he goes into second phase and you hear Gwyn's leitmotif, I lost my shit. As much as a lot of the lore in Dark Souls is pretty obscured, you still do get like a few cutscenes worth, and it's difficult to go through the game without loosely understanding like the story and idea of what Gwyn represents. And you might expect too early. You might expect something more epic when you're coming at him, but when you come here and you actually face him, and he's in like this tragic state, is super cool. That like captures the feeling of the game world in a big way. So yeah, even with just one hit of us one-handing the weapon, we deal about half a pip of health. So in order to beat Gwyn, we would probably have to hit him around 30 times with one hand on the weapon. If we get a parry off, or if we figure out how the parry works, that's naturally going to be a lot less. As I think that if we get a parry off and then hit him about 1 or 2 times as he's standing back up, we should trigger a stagger, which will let us hit him again. So we probably only need to do like 2 parry cycles and some change if we can get that done. I know his leaping attack is parryable as well, so if I figure out the timing to parry his leaping attack, we'll be dealing with a lot less fight here. By and large, I think my opinion of Dark Souls 1 is that the toughest boss for me is Calamite. He has an absurd amount of health. He's got a lot of different challenging patterns. I'd say that Monas is fairly challenging, as Monas and Artorias are also fairly challenging. But basically all the challenge is over in the DLC. Gwyn is not the most challenging boss in the game. He is challenging, though. Like, I really appreciate the design of Gwyn. Mostly, I just love that sweet, sweet theme music. Oh, he does have a sweep attack that he can try. That guy has been doing the stab every single time, and it's been getting me. So I just kind of wanted to roll early. There it is. I can't parry him if I'm standing that far away. That is a bit of a caveat on it. So the parry got me through about, I got a parry and then 2 other hits besides, and that got me through about 3.5 pips of health. I did not put both hands on the weapon after I performed the parry, you're supposed to do that. You get more damage that way when you go back to two-handing the weapon. Oh wait, I'm not sure how whistling is going to handle in the recording. I whistle a lot, and I'm assuming that whistling in the microphone might be really unpleasant. So I'm going to try not to do it, even though it occurs very naturally for me to do if I'm in the middle of doing something else, or if I'm not thinking to myself, talk to your stream, talk to your stream. Come here, buddy. Ring around the rosy. Ashes, ashes, we all fall down. So I have received, as a gift from a good friend, Psychonauts 2. I believe that good friend is in the chat. Thank you very much. So I'm gonna start playing that most likely tomorrow night, so long as work doesn't have me, like, utterly worn out. I mean, even if work has me utterly worn out, I might be playing the game. That's kind of a reasonable response to being worn out from work, I think. Okay, hand off the weapon. I didn't get the parry timing right. I waited too long. Oh my god, I don't believe I'm alive. I screwed up so many times. Take that. We'll just fight him with one hand on the weapon. This is actually very reliable. I almost had it there. Okay, I only have to do this correctly, but so many times. I actually, like, swung in too early and didn't trigger the actual parry retaliation the first time I got him. And that's partially because I tried to get both hands on the weapon. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna, like, one-hand the weapon the entire time and just go for it. Looks like I only need to parry him correctly about 5 times in a fight, and I can't afford to take a hit, but I'm really not going to have the time to heal. Some of those attacks he tried that didn't hit, I had no understanding of how that happened. What's it called? I know a failed parry still gives you, like, some kind of blocking frames with a shield, but I'm just using my hands. That is jank. I do find that timing-wise, since he's got sequential attacks, the second attack in sequence is usually easier for me to understand the parry timing for. That used to be how I killed Silver Knights, like, all the time, bread and butter. Now I've played the game enough that I know that Silver Knights are actually kind of chumpy, and you can just kind of skip them until you come back with a weapon that's strong enough to just chomp through them. Naturally, like, most people the first time they're playing through a Dark Souls game are going to wind up using sword and board. And it's only once you understand the game and the enemies to a good extent that you can recognize that using other higher damage profile weapons will give you a much, much easier time of just absolutely crunching people. And even playing on Soul Level 1, I can absolutely crunch a ton of enemies. Too early. Too early again. A lot of this is going to be hitting a rhythm. If I get him down once, I'm going to be able to get into a better rhythm. So there's an interesting mixed message going around in Dark Souls, kind of the core conflict of the game. Linking the first flame and like burning the souls of himself and like other powerful lords was an act that Gwyn performed to try and extend the golden age of which he was the ruler, the Age of Fire. It was oof. I'm surprised it didn't kill me. So it was Gwyn who was the lord. Gwyn spurred the other lords to take down the dragons, ending the era of the dragons. The dragons having ruled, I believe, from before the fire existed, during a time known as the Age of Grey. But Gwyn's decision to link the first flame and attempt to reawaken the fire and prolong his era of prosperity is referred to throughout Dark Souls 2 as the first sin. And sin is an interesting word in like translations from various languages and things. But I think the English and Japanese translations for sin are quite similar. Like, it's understood to be more or less the same word. There we go. And too early. There are NPCs and things going on in the world trying to convince you, like one of the abyssal creatures that's kind of coming up to talk to you initially, the great old serpents, who meets with you at the Firelink altar, or the Firelink shrine. I believe he shows up after you've rung the first bell. He wakes up and tries to tell you about, you know, more of the quest. He's asking you to gather up the great souls and link the flame to continue to prolong the Age of Fire. But is prolonging the Age of Fire the right thing to do? Gwyn thought so, but Gwyn is now a broken shell of a man, and you have to acquire, like, the remnant of the soul within him to become the new champion who's even capable. Oh, I triggered a jump instead of a dodge. He chopped me during the jump. You take way more damage while jumping. So Gwyn's decision to do that, to cling to life and to cling to glory, is referred to in Dark Souls 2 as the first sin. And I can't recall if there's a reference in Dark Souls 1 that refers to Gwyn as a sinner. But you are offered a counter, there is a counter offer presented by another one of the Great Serpents, who I believe has the name of Dark Seeker Cath or Dark Stalker Cath. And Dark Stalker Cath is a peculiar feature. These are the figures that are offering covenants to Artorias. They're proliferating the influence of the Abyss, the Great Darkness, so to speak. And so one of these serpents is trying to tell you that you should link the flame and prolong the Age of Fire. Another is telling you that you should let the flame die out and allow the onset of the Age of Dark. And it's interesting to think that there would be an Age of Dark, because before the fire existed, in the absence of fire, there was instead an Age of Grey, not an Age of Dark. It is the presence of fire in the world that gives rise to the disparity that allows light and dark to be a dichotomy. And you can imagine that perhaps this dichotomy, you could liken it to the existence of wealth and poverty, perhaps. That things can be aggregated now. That was too late and then too early. Whoops. I probably actually need to be taking distance and mostly only planning on parrying his leap, because I think the leap is the one attack I'm going to reliably have the timing for, and his other attacks, I'm probably not going to have a reliable understanding of how to parry them. Mostly it's like standing face to face with him and waiting for him to do something is going to make me super antsy, and I'm going to misplay that a lot. Plus, if I'm fighting him normally, I can go for some swings where I have two hands on the weapon. So I'll just do parries when he's doing the leaping attack, and otherwise not try for it. And it'll still give me a shorter fight overall, but I can just kind of fight him the way it feels like it's meant to be done, and enjoy the music of it. Wow, he's about to land on me. It was said by the developer that he wanted the fight with Gwyn to be a final exam for the game, which should include all of the features of the game, which is part of why Gwyn has an elemental vulnerability. He's, you know, he's subject to bleed effects from bleeding weapons, and he's subject to parrying, because parrying is, you know, a part of the game that you're able to master, and Gwyn is supposed to be the final chance for the player to showcase their mastery. It's also part of why, in terms of the first game, in terms of the core first game, he's the most aggressive boss in the game, absolutely. The DLC bosses match him or beat him for aggression, but prior to the inclusion of the DLC, Gwyn is absolutely the most aggressive enemy you're going to fight. He's pressuring. Two hands, and we'll take distance. Oh, that was weird. I got staggered but didn't take damage. That was too early of a dodge. I would like you to make a grab attempt so that I can chug. Thank you. Oh, right. He can follow up on the running stab. I forgot that. I'm dead. I went for a greedy chug. Gwyn really doesn't give you opportunities to drink. That's a big factor of the fight. So, going into the second game, we reanalyze and kind of re-legislate the notion of the linking of the first flame, because of course, whether you link the first flame or walk away from the first flame, the events of Dark Souls 2 still happen. Now, Dark Souls 2 has kind of some confusingly remixed features relative to Dark Souls 1. It's unclear how the timelines work. It is mentioned that, you know, timelines are convoluted in Lordran. But we start to see hints in Dark Souls 2 that what we're dealing with is kind of a cyclical universe and a cyclical setting. And this is fully addressed in Dark Souls 3. But as it turns out, throughout Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2, we're dealing with this cyclical instance where if you walk away and you do not link the flame, and you try to allow the world to fade into darkness, what will happen in truth is that somebody will arrive later to link the flame. It will be linked by another. In the base game of Dark Souls 2, you're also facing the same conflict. You can link the flame, or you can depart, but your departure will inevitably be supplanted. Now, in Dark Souls 2, you can go to the lengths to study the first sin and acquire the 3 crowns of the Old Lords. And once you have understood and accounted for the prior follies of mankind... Okay, yeah, I'm missing the timing if I go for... if I take the time to put both hands on the weapon. Interesting. The stagger from the first hit is preventing me from being hit by the second hit. That was probably a bad chug attempt. Yep. Oh, I ran into the wall there. Yep. I buffered something after taking that hit. So, there's some interesting bits going on here where, I am not taking attacks because I'm still in some kind of weird stagger animation, and he's not actually stagger locking me, which is different from how stagger tends to work on the DLC bosses. And I don't know if that's a difference in specific boss attack programming, because it shouldn't be a difference in the way my character takes attacks. Huh. That is weird. I don't know what to make of it. So, at the start of Dark Souls 3, the onset of that game, we are not playing as a chosen undead, the one who will link the flame. And I think we're learning... I should have avoided that. I think we're learning at that time that chosen undead might be kind of a junk title, because it seems as though the chosen undead is able to abdicate their duty and somebody else will take care of it. What we learn at that time is that the flame has been linked by several lords in the past. The flame was supposed to be linked by another lord that's present in the game, the Twin Princes, who have chosen not to perform their duty. And that as that has been the reality, that somebody has chosen not to link the flame, other great old lords have also begun to reawaken, and they are similarly not doing the job. So you, an unkindled, I believe is the term you have awoken now, and it's like I suppose killing these lords and linking the flame is a thing that you are able to do. I feel as though what the storytelling is suggesting there is that you're not alone in your status in Dark Souls 3. Anybody can theoretically rise to fit this mantle and accomplish these tasks. You're simply the player we happen to be following. But that's maybe more incidental. There's a claim there. The unkindled is unfit even to be ember. Like you do not have a flame of your own, so to speak, which I think is simply an indication that you are a symptom of the fading of the fire, which in some ways may indicate that... Thank you very much. That was super nice of you. Okay, so that's a 3-hit sequence. I need to understand how long his sequences are, because I really can't remember, and I need to know where I actually have openings if I'm going to fight him legitimately. That is also assuming I'm going to switch back and forth between one-handing and two-handing. I might adopt a strat where I dodge the first attack and try to parry the second and just do the fight one-handed. I gotta think about that a bit more. I'd also appreciate it if the Black Knights would be a little nicer and not chop off a bunch of my health when I first try to enter the boss arena. I am getting the parry on the leaping attack very consistently, so that feels good. I'm going to keep doing that. Let's see. Lore. Scratching my head to remember all that. Yeah, I am also really looking forward to the level design in Psychonauts 2. I want to see what kind of creative stuff they did. And also now that, they're not held back by technology on any kind of idea. Because Psychonauts, the original, I feel is a really well-written game with a lot of really interesting innovations and ideas. But, as a platformer and technically, I feel that it's, technically and graphically, I feel it's very limited. There's a lot of stuff in it that looking back, looks very rough. A lot of maybe kind of suspect hitboxing and modeling. Some areas where you can kind of go out of bounds. And I'm going to be interested to see if they have what kind of polish they've given to it. Okay, here we go. Yeah, kindly do not chop me in the back when I'm trying to start the fight. Clunk. Running up into that terrain is about to mess me up. If I didn't dodge there, I think I could have chugged. There's not quite enough time to chug. Oh, I couldn't actually take advantage of that opening? I might have had the time to dodge. Maybe I just did it wrong. I think I might have barely had the time to dodge if I buffered it in, and I just needed to buffer the dodge in that case. Yeah, Gwyn is actually a fight that has fewer clean openings than Artorias. It may not feel that way from going back and forth between the two fights, and the reality of it is Artorias is a bit more aggressive. Artorias has a couple options that Gwyn doesn't have. Specifically, Artorias has got the somersault slam jam, which has pretty great tracking and can kind of get to you from wherever. Gwyn's close game is actually meaner than Artorias is in a few ways. Okay, I did not know what that guy was up to. Looking a little sus. So Dark Souls 3 kind of crystallizes the lore of Dark Souls as being about this kind of cycle. And what is being said about the cycle largely is that your choices within the cycle may matter to you and may be important to you personally, but ultimately may not be impacting the world, because the world is going to kind of correct and get back to this cyclical nature. And what you're seeing in kind of the end of Dark Souls 3 is when the cycle fails, or when things are falling apart, you kind of see this conjunction of places and time frames. That was too early. And I got confused. Because again, when I do that early parry failure, it seems that his second attack on me always misses for some reason. And I don't know why. I also don't know why I attempted the parry on that attack. That's counter to what I've been saying I'm going to do about how I'm handling this fight. But it felt right in the moment. My best attempt so far, I just went in and started parrying, and it kept working, and I kept doing it. So I kind of want to just run the fight like that. Just get in the rhythm of all of his attacks and take care of it. Parrying the stabs is really, really hard. I don't know if the stabs are actually parryable. Other bosses like Artorias, they're just not parryable. They just, there is not a time when that will work. I think Dark Souls 3 is better about that in some ways. You can get parries on most of the humanoid bosses in Dark Souls 3. It's just really risky, and kind of a challenging thing to do. I know that you can parry Pontiff Sullivan super reliably in Dark Souls 3, and it's the best way to kill him. I don't remember if you can parry the Dancer, but the Dancer has a lot of attacks going. A lot of different attacks they can do. So parrying them might not be the best choice if you can't read the timing. You can parry a few of the attacks from the Farron Legion. I think the difference in Dark Souls 3 is that in Dark Souls 3, every boss has 2 phases, and I think generally speaking, you can't parry a boss in phase 2. So they're guaranteed to get you for some challenge. I did really appreciate the crystallizing of the lore, because Dark Souls 2 is very murky on its lore implications. There are certain, like, entities and characters that are said to be... Okay, I didn't know what happened there. I, like, tried to do a dodge in between those, but it didn't give me the dodge, and it didn't buffer the dodge, which was really weird. I expected to see a buffered dodge come out, and then I would have to do something after buffering the dodge. That might have killed me, but the buffered dodge didn't happen either, and I was very confused. Going for the extra hit on Gwyn's Wake Up might be too greedy, because it's putting me into a very bad 50-50, where I have to either stand there and parry his attack, or I have to dodge an attack sequence. His attacks are sweeping enough, you cannot reliably dodge behind Gwyn. That's not a safe spot. I really think from before, the way I handled this fight was mostly on dodging stabs and grabs to do damage. Dodging stabs, grabs, and probably the leap. I think those are my windows, and everything else is really dodgy. The last time I was doing a Soul Level 1 run, I did actually struggle for a long time on Gwyn. And there's a whole bunch of people online who are like, ha, he's easy, just parry him. I'm like, guys, come on. You have to be kidding me with, like, how stressful a strat that is. To just go in and, like, perfectly time 6 parries in a row or whatever it takes to kill the boss. If I was coming in with a red Tearstone ring strat, it would take fewer parries, naturally, so that would be an option. And I think I'm not getting very much out of... Ow. I'm not necessarily getting much out of the ring I'm currently using, so that's like an idea. A little bit of time to chug. You know, I think the way some people fight him is literally just to run away until he does the leap, and keep parrying the leap. I thought that was too early, but it was actually fine. That did the weird thing again where it staggered me, but didn't actually do any damage. And then that one I dodged wrong and took all of my health at once. I think Gwyn has a small hitbox at the end of his weapon that just staggers without actually hurting. Dark Souls 1 is very much about this. There's a whole bunch of really strange hitboxing. Dark Souls 3 has the best hitboxing in video games. Every attack hits exactly where the weapon is. Every boss is hurt exactly where their body is. You are hurt exactly where your body is. Nothing extends, like, beyond your character model to be vulnerable. Nothing extends beyond enemy attacks to do damage. For most enemies, the enemy body is generally not a hitbox, except for, you know, a couple very specific exemptions for enemies that use their body for the hitboxing. I think the only boss fight in Dark Souls 3 that I would say is rough on the hitboxing is, I forget his name, Osiros. Yeah. Osiros the Old King. I actually read in the post on the Dark Souls subreddit, when you're fighting King Osiros, he is kind of lamenting and speaking about Ocelot while you're fighting him. And it's unclear exactly what he's talking about. But Ocelot is like a failed son of his, or a child that was kind of part of an experiment that failed. The actual truth of it, which is very difficult to understand, Osiris is actually carrying Ocelot during the fight, but Ocelot is invisible. Ocelot is a hybrid like Crossbreed Priscilla. Crossbreed Priscilla, of course, has invisibility. Okay. Dodged it wrong. I think it's pretty clear that I just can't heal during this fight at all. Not going to work at all. So I'm actually going to try and figure out a red Tearstone Ring strat for this fight, which I have not done for literally the rest of this entire thing. But I'm going to do it here. So, generally speaking, in terms of activating a red Tearstone Ring, we're going to try and find something we can fall off of. And we're going to fall off something a couple of times until we can get our health down under the 20% marker. Thankfully, we have 5 pips of health, so the point when we are under 20% is pretty obvious. So the fastest possible way we can activate this, we're going to check on. Okay. So I think if we block 2 attacks from this guy... Nope, not active. Okay. Can I block a third without dying? Nope, can't do it. So I'm going to try taking an attack on the chin from this guy and see if that activates the red Tearstone Ring. And if that activates it, then I'm going to do that as my activation, then run past the other goons. This does mean that if I get hit by one of the other goons, I'll just take a death and then move on with my life. Failing a boss run's not the worst thing in the world. Doing an extra 50% damage, I'm not sure if it's going to influence the boss's stagger. That would be super interesting if it does. Because I might be able to use that to kind of just body Gwyn. But ultimately, like, if we're not able to safely heal in the fight, let's just not plan on it at all. Let's not allow ourselves the chance. So if we take a clean hit, now the Tearstone Ring is active. So that's how we're going to do this. We're just going to take a clean hit from the first knight and then run past everything else. And he's going to weirdly bogart our camera. So the red Tearstone Ring is a major strat used in like a lot of other Soul Level 1 runs. We could also technically unequip some of our armor and things like that. We're already using like the best version of dodging we're gonna get, so there's not a lot of value in trying to muck with that stuff. We mostly just want to make sure we have the perfect amount of armor so that taking a hit from that first guy puts us in the critical zone but doesn't kill us. And it looks like we're doing that pretty nicely at this point, so don't need to worry about anything else. Okay, there we go. And let's fight. Oh, nice. Oh, I accidentally did a kick. Didn't mean to. So, oh, wow. With this strat, we got him to half health in like 2 interactions. So this is definitely the way to go forward with it. There's some really funny videos you can see from some people online. There is a glitch in some of the Dark Souls games. I think it might only be available in certain versions. I don't know. But there's a glitch where you can cause certain weapons to behave as if they are other weapons in terms of their attack patterns. Oh, right. We needed to not avoid an attack from him. So that actually works that we failed that dodge. So one of the things that is done in speedruns of Dark Souls is you get one of the strongest weapons in the game that you can acquire super early, which is the Black Knight Halberd, which is actually a random drop from a certain enemy. Like, he doesn't always drop it. It's like maybe a 20 or 30% chance. So actually, 60% of those runs bomb, which is really goofy. Or they go for that and they have a backup strat of using a different weapon. Anywho, you perform a trick. So that they either do a backup of that, or they actually mod the game to make it a 100% drop chance from a certain enemy, so that they can just do the run consistently. I don't remember how it works. But anyways, you perform this glitch to change your weapons around, so that your halberd, so that your halberd has the attack pattern of a rapier, which means that when you perform a dashing attack with the halberd, it does a quick double hit in front of you. Which is really goofy. And it allows them to just chop down bosses in no time flat, because they just run in a tiny circle and do a double hit with the most powerful weapon, with one of the most powerful weapons in the game. So that is the speedrun strat that is enabled by the glitch. The other thing that is enabled by the glitch is you take certain weapons that have special attacks with oh right, I need to take a hit. You take certain weapons that have special attacks with multi-hitting attack patterns, and then you duct tape that effect onto another weapon that's very powerful, and then you combine that with just casting a lot of buffs in a sequence to try and see which bosses you can one-shot. And there are a lot of boss one-shot videos from the various Dark Souls games, where you use a mix of exploits and jank and a shitload of buffs to one-shot bosses. I think it's hilarious to look at a character come up with like this giant like status bar worth of stuff. And the challenge for people who are compiling these videos and like figuring out these strats is to figure out how low level of a character you can bring into a fight and still get a one-shot on a boss. Because naturally, you know, if the character can level up ad nauseum, you could theoretically get a one-shot on most anything. One thing that's not obvious initially, but you can figure out if you look at kind of the scaling of things, there's a soft cap on the way that weapons scale in the game. That was a bit of an early dodge, but it worked out okay. Go for a grab. Come on. Nope. I actually just need him to, like, give me one more opening. Maybe two. If I could figure out how to prompt him to do the dash again, I could kill him on a second parry. Because it seems like, somewhat reliably, he's doing a grab after my first, greedy sequence. And if I can get that to happen reliably, since he staggers on the hit I land after the grab, and I can get a second hit after that, all of which is doing quite a lot of damage. There we go. And we're good. Another way I can do the fight is technically I could come in and let Gwyn hit me to activate the red tier stone ring, but I'm very reliably getting the opening parry. I need to make sure I have the attack buff for that first exchange. So let's see. So we've got boss one-hitting challenges. Just talking a bit about the lore. About how, like, I think Dark Souls 3 makes the lore actually fairly clear, where Dark Souls 2 is pretty convoluted, and I think that has to do a lot with them having different directors. And it's kind of only with the DLC that some of the plot lines and things going on in Dark Souls 2 tie back into Dark Souls 1. And we also find that a lot of the kind of plot features and background lore elements that are introduced in Dark Souls 2, I think a lot of those don't really play in Dark Souls 3 very much. Most of Dark Souls 3 is kind of retreading on some things that were established in Dark Souls 1. I think that guy might have killed me through that wall if I didn't roll. Okay, he doesn't want to go for the grab this time. Bummer. Okay, so you can do a quick stab as part of that sequence. Gwyn's sequence has a lot of variables. Like, oh my goodness. He can do a quick stab, he can step into another sweep, he can end early for almost anything he's doing. He can follow up his stab with a horizontal slash. Oh my god. So much variance. I have honestly no idea how many different moves Gwyn has. Which is a lot of why the first time I was fighting him on SL1, I was just back rolling and keeping my distance and waiting for something like incredibly clean that I could dish out a hit on. And the fight took a lot longer than I'm angling for now with the RTSR strat. RTSR is short for Red Tearstone Ring. Community! Shorthand for things. The, what's it called? The other, thing that the community has a major shorthand for, there are not a lot of, things that have shorthand in Dark Souls 1. I believe that the, Black Knight Halberd is a frequent shorthand that's just called BKH. And then, like, some of the other things are like BKS, BKUGS for Ultra Great Sword. BKC is the Black Knight Claymore. I don't think that gets a lot of play. I don't think hardly anybody uses the Black Knight Axe either. You do plenty of damage with the other Black Knight weapons. Like, why commit yourself to an even slower attack pattern? That almost hit me. That almost hit me with, like, the edge of the sweep. Grab, stagger. I whiffed the second swing somehow. Go me. I'm not sure how I managed that. It's like magical. And I got killed. Just as I was thinking, like, I should be dodging into him and trying for an opening on some of these, then I dodged, and I like started to dodge into him and just got killed. Yeah, I think the actual way to do this that is, like, theoretically optimal is I just take my second hand back off the weapon, and I run really far away from him, and I try to bait him into a second jump, because I'm getting the parry timing on the jump so reliably. I've only missed the jump parry, like, once out of these attempts. Okay, stab me. Come on, bud. A little less awkward. Okay, he actually, I actually got hit by a part of the attack that did not, trigger the Red Tearstone Ring. So I got a little frozen there. I'm like, oh, what do I do now? It's awkward. I think after this is done, I might spend some time off stream just rewatching some of the old lore videos about Dark Souls. I'm going to have to consider very carefully if I want to try a Dark Souls 2 SL1 run at some point. Because this has been fun, and this has been cool, and I've really appreciated sharing this with people. I'm going to love having this up on YouTube for posterity, except for the 2 or 3 fights that the stream cut out on, and I didn't get to save. But Dark Souls 2, playing at soul level 1, is actively super obnoxious. For like the first half of the run, you are just this weak little dweeb, and everything is super obnoxious to deal with. And then there are parts in like kind of the middle of the game, like when you get to the kind kind of the lava-oriented stage. I forget what it's called in Dark Souls 2. But you've got big, long segments with really obnoxious enemies, and you just wind up having to kill mooks over and over again in these really annoying boss run sections, because the enemies attack fast enough. Oh, he actually got me there. The enemies attack fast enough and they track you actively enough that running away from them is not at all viable. You cannot run past the enemies for a lot of the boss fights you have to deal with there. So you wind up doing the run back for Smelter Demon, for instance, and it's just damn near impossible to do that run without fighting every enemy on the way. And in Dark Souls 2, there is a limit to the number of times enemies respawn. So there are a few areas in Dark Souls 2. I believe it was the Smelter Demon and Alon. That is not quite right. Alright, I think I'm gonna have to block an attack. There we go. That activated it. So the area before the Smelter Demon, the area before Alon, which have fairly similar enemy types, you wind up having to use your clunky, awful little like soul level 1. You wind up having to use your clunky, not very great soul level 1 attack patterns to deal with enemies that move and attack very quickly, and you have to kill these guys like 10 times each per goon to get them to stop respawning, so that you can actually have a boss run back. I find that if you have a lot of stuff in between you and the boss, and you have to deal with a lot of enemies before you can make a reattempt, it becomes that much harder for you to like commit the muscle memory to like understand what you're dealing with. And all of that is separate from like the adaptability problem. I thought I was too late on that, but I was just right. Go figure. Okay, we actually need to step in a little bit between those two hits. Ah, he did it, and I messed it up. Okay, I was a little too far back, actually, to get the parry correctly. I might have been too late. I think I was just too far away. I'm not certain. Okay. So I need to be a little more... So the first one, I know he's going to do the leap as his first attack every single time. That's just part of how he's designed. Subsequent leaps are a lot harder for me to read. So I need to be a bit more ready for that. I think I'm getting the distance about right. So he's going to leap. I'm going to parry. I'm going to hit him once on wake up. I'm going to check to see if he's in the mood to do a grab. I think that he particularly likes to use the grab as a response if you've gotten behind him. I don't know why that is or why I have that impression, but I think that's really the circumstance. You know, I really appreciate that when their weapons drag along the ground here, they create that, like, ash kick-up effect. And that's not, like, tied into their weapon swing. The weapons don't do that as part of their trait. That's part of the area and the way the floor collision works. That's super cool, man. I love details. So since I beat Outer Wilds, I did check out the Outer Wilds speedrun that was part of the most recent Awesome Games Done Quick. I think it was during SGDQ, Summer Games Done Quick. And actually, it's a 100% run. So they go out and they get every piece of lore during that run, including one tidbit of lore, or a little bit of lore. I think I was actually too early that time. It's surprisingly late that you have to parry on this leap. There was one bit of lore that is actually on the volcano planet that is hovering, or that is circling around. Not the planet. It's the volcanic moon in Brittle Hollow. So they actually land on a volcano in order to get a tidbit of lore there from like a volcano worshipping Nomai. But they talk a lot about the game during the speedrun naturally. You do get to see the final sequence. Of course, there's a few different movement tricks that they're doing, some of which are super weird. One of which I think is actually like a cool detail that I thought was interesting to learn about the game. So, of course, you have the scout launcher thing where you can fire out this like scout camera while you're playing the game. And what could have occurred to me but absolutely didn't, because these mad lads were dedicated to physics when they were running the game. Firing the scout launcher does have a little bit of kickback, and in certain areas, either where the gravity is high or where the gravity is low, you can move faster or better by firing the scout launcher like down or behind you or something. Some of the high gravity areas on the water planet, Giant's Deep, you can actually navigate those sections better by firing the scout launcher down repeatedly. And firing it repeatedly is difficult anyway. Whoops. I did that wrong. Shoot, I'm off my groove. So that actually helps you like navigate some of those segments and do some things in like a quote-unquote unintentional way. I think that Giant's Deep is the only area of the game where I would ever refer to something being unintentional. As the gravity is very, very restrictive in those areas. But naturally for the speedrun, and the elements that I thought would be interesting to speedrun in that game, is that everything that happens in the game is precisely clocked within a time loop. So there are like kind of physics tricks that you can reliably reproduce because you know that certain celestial bodies will be at a particular orientation. I think the part of this was most interesting was one of the first few moves they do during the speed run in order to line up with the satellite that's orbiting around Giant's Deep. They've got kind of a setup going for it where they get the timing just right. And naturally, we've got some death abuses going on in there. That's pretty funny. And they actually have to get past the anglerfish twice. If you're going to the vessel the first time in the endgame sequence, you will miss a lore entry, because you need to get the warp core that's in the vessel back out of the vessel in order to get a lore entry based on it. And you can't do that if your hands are already full of warp core. I don't know how I don't know which mistake I made for that one. I think that one was too early. I need to focus up on this. I have screwed up the parry like the last 3 attempts. And I don't know if it's because I'm talking or because I'm tired. And I'd rather not it be because I'm tired, because I would kind of like to succeed this boss fight before the night is up. But if I am losing my sharpness as my voice is going hoarse at the same time, then I might need to call it. Okay, that activated the ring. Or I could do some runs where I'm not trying to abuse the ring, just to get back in the rhythm with a little bit of leeway. Let's see. Was the Monas takedown tonight or was that yesterday? I think the Monas takedown was tonight, so we actually took out Monas, Sif, the Four Kings, and Gwendolyn all tonight. Whoops. Let me not run headlong into this guy. That's right, because I was sitting down today thinking to myself, okay, I am going to dedicate these Monas attempts to crushing the banality of our common existence, where we have to do all these chores and all this upkeep to live life, and it pulls us out of the things we want to do for the things that we need to do that, all said and done, are actually kind of petty. Yeah, I've been pressing it too early. Come at me, again. So, I think for the subsequent leaps, he's like a little further away from me when he lands, and that might be preventing the parry from working, because I know I need to be close into his body to actually successfully parry it. And I think it's because I'm backstepping maybe too constantly or too consistently. But I think I only really need to get this parry sequence to happen on him like twice. So I'm hitting him, I'm getting the parry, I'm hitting him once when he stands up, and once when he misses the grab, and that's enough to trigger a stagger. How else could I try to trigger a stagger on this? Is there another way to set up a stagger? Because if I can plan on staggering him, then I don't need to wait for him to whiff, I can hit him preemptively and knock him out of an attack. I don't know which of his attack animations, if any, have poise. But if I can plan on a stagger happening, I can exploit a window that normally isn't very vulnerable and make it a lot more vulnerable, because I'll get the hit that causes the stagger and then another hit afterwards. I think it's either every other hit or every third hit that causes a stagger. I don't know if the parry is contributing to it, though. If the parry is contributing to the stagger, then it's just something I can do if I hit him kind of shortly after landing a parry. Because I believe the stagger is based on a bleed meter that is decaying invisibly. I think I was too late there. If I had gotten that right, he was dead. I think he actually has two patterns for leap. I think he can either do a high leap or a low leap, which has a slightly different timing. But I don't know if that's actually correct or if that's just my visual impression of him doing the same damn thing. So basically, if I can manage 2 parry cycles... Yeah, Gwyn's music is amazing. So basically 2 parry cycles and 1 grab stagger cycle, and he'll be dead. Because after... I don't think the second parry will kill him, but me hitting him when he tries to stand back up will kill him. Whew. If I can actually get two hands on the weapon after the first parry before I use the retaliation, I might be killing him faster. I could also use the RTSR for the opener, and then take an opportunity to chug after I backed off, but I mean, I started using the red Tearstone Ring in the first place because I really don't have opportunities to heal during the fight. So I think trying to sneak in a heal at any point is probably just a fool's errand and is going to backfire. I would wager there's probably some lore implications behind why demons and such are vulnerable to fire. Aw, I missed. I don't know if that one was too early or too late, I can't tell. But I think that is the high version of the leaping attack. Yeah, hopefully we'd be able to listen to the music for a bit longer. And I am pretty much 100% confident that because Gwyn's music features in this video, the YouTube version will be demonetized. I feel like there should be an allowance for game streaming for that. Like, if it's the music that's in the game and you are streaming that game or like doing a playthrough of that game, it should be completely okay to have the music that is in that game like play. Like, I appreciate the heck out of the From Software team. I appreciate the heck out of the game, but I think they've sold the game plenty, and I don't think they need to make like more continuing money off of the rights to the music from the game appearing in YouTube videos where people are playing the game that they've paid to play. Music copyright is funky. I don't super understand, like, how the lawyers got it to work like this, like it currently does. I understand that Twitch is actually changing, like, the copyright rules for music in Twitch, which is good because there are literally cases of, like, live performers who are the original artists of the music, who have to not play that music for Twitch, or like they're at a convention playing their music, and they have to not have that part of the convention streamed, or they have to play something else over it. I'm winning this fight. Victory chug. Because they will be DMCA'd for playing their own music on a Twitch stream. Whew. So here's where we have the option. We can link the fire. Doing so will cycle through the game, and it will kind of perpetuate the cycle. It will hold on to the age of Gwyn's glory, the age of fire, the domain of lords, the time of gods. The time of dark, instead, however, is perhaps the time of man, perhaps the time of the abyss, the time of the dark wraiths. It's a time of kind of greed or might making right, but will it be that way forever? Is that, what it's meant to be? You can equivocate all sorts of things, but I feel as though linking the fire is a chance to show my appreciation to Gwyn and what he's done. It's an homage, an honorable sacrifice in a way. So As is one bro tradition, before I get to the final end of the game, we need to showcase that we have killed the optional bosses along the way. The Moonlight Butterfly is optional. Smo is not optional. Sif is not optional. Gwendolyn is optional. Priscilla is optional. Manus is optional. And lastly, of course, there's the Soul of Gwyn. So, in the matter of a clip, the Moonlight Butterfly, Gwendolyn, Priscilla, Manus, and Gwyn, Lord of Cinder, while we can see on screen, on the stat screen, that we are level 1. In a simple clip, that showcases that we've completed the run, and that it was an all bosses run, and that's that. Whew! Thank you guys for joining me. Now that we have finished this, we will need to transition the game that we are playing for Challenge Mode Monday. Our next Challenge Mode Monday will either be going back to do a bit more Link to the Past randomizer, which I think is a really cool, fun challenge run, and a good randomizer run is actually like completable in a single sitting. I'm just not that good yet. Or we can get started on an SL1 run for another Souls game. So we might go into Dark Souls 3. We might do Dark Souls 2. I could even hook up. I could even hook up my capture card and run Bloodborne. However, if it's going to be Dark Souls 3 or Bloodborne, because I have not completed an all bosses run on those games for a run where I'm allowed to level up, if I want to get into those games, I'm going to need to give it kind of a proto run where I will be leveling up my vitality and nothing else. So I'll be using the exact stamina budget and the same gear, the same damage profile that I would be using in a Soul Level 1 run, but I'm going to have a lot more ability to error correct and endure damage so that I can kind of experiment and find out what I need to do for the bosses. And in that case, what I'll be doing is the Proto Soul Level 1 run and the Soul Level 1 run in conjunction. I might be doing a lot of the Prototype run offline, and then flipping back over to the Soul Level 1 run when I'm online. And I'll give regular reports if I'm doing this about where the Proto run is, so that I can let you know when you can expect more content for the proper SL1 run. So that's an option, that's something I might be getting up to, but as I had mentioned before, Dark Souls 2, 3, and Bloodborne are substantially greater commitments of time compared to a Dark Souls 1 SL1 run. We started doing this Soul Level 1 run this month, and we completed an all bosses run within a few sittings, a few weeks. I think our total play time for this is probably less than 50 hours. A Dark Souls 3 Soul Level 1 run will almost certainly be longer than 50 hours of commitment to get done. Like, I think this is like YouTube watchable. I think all said and done, there's probably 4 or 5 8-hour sessions, like 40 hours of stuff. No, not 8 hours, but this, if I smudge together all of the parts where the stream cut out, I think this was like the 5th sitting of about 4 hours per sitting. I did a couple that were shorter. A couple of these were 2 hours. I should actually just go back to the character select team, check how long this took me. Woo. So this will put us back in like the New Game Plus version of the game, more or less. And we're not going to stick around here very long. I just want to... Actually, I can just quit out from here. How long did that take? If we go to load game, we can see. Oh, okay, that is better than I thought. Um, I completed an all bosses soul level 1 run in 23 hours, or in under 23 hours. All right. That'll be it for tonight. I am going to get up and get myself something to eat. I had a huge lunch, but I have not really eaten dinner, so I'm going to try to balance that a little bit. So good night. Thank you for tuning in. This has been Jupiter Exile, and thank you for wandering with me. Now, before I cut the stream today, I'm going to check and see if any of my good friends might be streaming, so I can see about this whole, rating nonsense that some of the popular kids do. That looks like a yes. Okay, I mean, it's all right. So my buddy Curly is not online himself. He's tuning into Hungrybox streaming Super Smash Bros. Ultimates. If he was doing his own thing, I'd send you over there to rate him. But I mean, check him out, Curly TTV, if you want. But if he's just kind of uh, if he's just watching other people who already have enough views, then I'm gonna say that's fine. All right. Um, have a good evening, everybody.